What is up, fight fans? It is episode 1. We're starting all over of the LoudMouth MMA podcast. We are doing a new segment called Open Mats. I'm here with Drake Riggs and Davidson Baker. Daddy Dave, Papa Drake. What's up, fam? How you guys doing?
Good, good. Good to go, man. Happy to be here. Got a little I don't know a revamp of the network a little bit. We're starting fresh a little bit, so that's always fun and exciting, especially in these crazy times we're living in right now. So let's do
Crazy
it.
times with no fights.
Yeah.
Sad times with no fights.
Mhm.
The network being revamped, though, is an exciting thing, especially when you have the prospects of the reason why it is being revamped is because two of obviously great people that are good at what they do, Mike and Craig, have had the opportunity to move on to bigger and better things. And I
Where
think,
did Craig go?
Craig's not with the network anymore.
Drake, you know something.
I swear I don't, but Craig and
Is that
Craig
not
and I
news yet? Is that not to be told yet about Craig?
No, really. I don't know anything, but and maybe that's just all smoke, and maybe I am misinformed. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't be surprised. I think Craig's really good at what he does, and he and I gave each other a lot of heyday on Between the Links, but I got a lot of respect for Craig.
Mhm.
Yes.
Well,
Go ahead, Drake. I'm sorry.
If you listen to, the last podcast he did with John Franklin, he said, I think he said it's not MMA related. He's still going to do his Fight Night Pick stuff and all that, which he's amazing at and everything. But I think he said not MMA related, if I'm remembering correctly. So, I mean, you can go check it out. That was the early stoppage, whatever. Let's go. I should know the names of the shows. But, yeah, whichever one, the last one he did, he kind of, talked about it.
Bigger and better things, though, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He sounded very excited about it. So.
I think that's the whole purpose of this thing anyway, is to help these guys like us grow. I'm new. This is my first episode on the network, and I like everybody that's in here. I got into the Facebook chat, and I was like, hey, I know everybody here except Fred, and I'm going to know Fred soon. So that's awesome, man.
Fear of Twitter or of media in any other sport that's like that, dude. The MMA media world is really kind of condensed and small when you think about it, but good people.
It's weird because I do all, for my website, I do all combat sports. So I do wrestling, I do jiu-jitsu, judo, boxing, all that. And none of it's like MMA Twitter. Like, it's a really tight-knit community. Boxing's very, very just stale on Twitter. It's weird. Boxing's more of an Instagram place. But, when it comes to Twitter, MMA Twitter is probably one of the best social media communities out there. You got a whole bunch of wonderful guys that started off young. You look at Nolan King and Mike Heck, who was with y'all. It's a bunch of great guys that are all nice. James Lynch is a big dog, and he'll talk to you, So I really like that about MMA Twitter, and I'm excited to get know you guys a little bit better.
Yeah, James actually came on to my personal podcast. He's the top of the tier in terms of nicest guys you're gonna meet. And Canada, reason, but at the end of the day, let's also though not confuse the fact that MMA media Twitter and MMA fan Twitter, those are
good distinction to be made there.
Yeah, very, very good distinction there. I agree, because the fans can be a bit nasty at times. The media is great. It really is. They're welcoming, and when you post something and they think it's good, they let you know it's good. And they don't trash you if you make a mistake too, so they have fun with it.
Depending.
Yeah, you're right.
Someone that's been known to do that, but I think we're going to talk about him later in this podcast.
Ooh, yes, actually, this is a perfect segue for that, actually. So we're going to go ahead and dive right into today's first ever episode. So everybody wants to talk about Jon Jones, but I can't lie that this is a perfect transition. Dana White, obviously, he hates MMA media right now. It is bad. He's gone on to Barstool, of all places, with Robbie, and said, don't tell them anything. He's against us right now with UFC 249. I think we're breaking secrets and is getting under his skin. I think that lends credence to the Florida rumors, and I think he doesn't like his secrets being told. So he has a mole. I believe he thinks he has a mole, and he's just trying to go to war with it. I think MMA media is a requirement or media in general is a requirement, especially in the sports industry. But I want to get your guys' thoughts on it here. Drake, what do you think of Dana White's tirade against the MMA media?
I mean, it's not really new, right? It's not a new thing for him. And as for, you mentioned the thing about he doesn't like his secrets getting out. Yeah, we know that because he banned Ariel all events after he leaked the Lesnar news, at 199. So we have seen this before, that he is not a fan of things getting out when they're not necessarily supposed to, because, the people who get their sources and all that, they have a little bit of help. If we're going to be totally honest and transparent here, not going to name names or anything, but there are people who, they get the okay from the brass and whatnot. So, yeah, if something's not supposed to be out, he's not going to be happy about it. He's going to make, a stink about it or whatever. So we're seeing that here. He's going a little bit harder, it seems, calling everybody, the wimpiest guys and all that, which entertaining, funny to listen to. And I mean, I'm not gonna disagree with him. From looking at myself, I'm not the strongest or biggest guy out there who's covering this crazy sport that we do. But I mean, it seems kind of funny to say, because I mean, most media members, and if you're looking at sports generally, I mean, of course they're not, big tough people or whatever. Otherwise, they'd be playing the sport, because we love the sport. Wouldn't we want to do it if we could, or it's all circumstantial, of course, but I don't know. I think that he's just kind of really, I mean, this is affecting all of us, right? The situation that's going on. So he's kind of in a position where it's frustrating. It's extra frustrating for him. So I understand kind of where he's coming from. I'm not too offended by the comments. I'm not going to be one of those guys. I mean, it's always fun to roast each other and everything every now and then, right? So, yeah, I don't know.
That's the language or if that was the tone he was trying to use. And here's a question I'll ask about it. Something's got to give here with what some of the comments Dana was saying. If there is a mole, and as Blaine pointed out, there's a very high likelihood of that, I tend to agree that that's probably what's going on. What about on the video yesterday where you said 0 people getting laid off? What if the mole is 2 doors down from your office? They're not getting laid off. You said that. What are you going to do?
Nah, he's just going to get fired. It's the difference. Yeah. There's a difference.
Word of technicality. Like we said right before we came on the air, texting and driving on billboards can't do it. Twitter and driving, no one said anything about that.
I've never been told not to Twitter and drive, and guess what? I got to keep up with the beat. I got to see what Big Marcel's posting, what Nolan King's posting. I got to see what everybody's posting, man. I got to know the latest fights. So,
of course,
there was actually a Black Mirror episode about that.
I do want to say this though about the whole, Dana situation, and I think stress has a lot to do with it. And I think having to go through now. I mean, think about it. If you go down the cards, you gotta call Overeem, whether it was him or Sean or McMahon or whoever it was, you got to call Overeem and Harris and say, hey, main event's off for a second time. I mean, that Columbus card was looking fantastic. Even after Sunsao and Garbrandt fell off, that was looking like a really fun card. And like I said to you guys also before we came on the air, these are tough times now, and these are times where everyone's going to be stressed out now. MMA fans will be rewarded though by the end of the year, because where are you going to put Woodley and Edwards? Where are you going to put all of these really, really awesome fights? You got to put them on cards with other really, really awesome fights. I don't think people really understand just how stacked these cards are going to be going towards the end of the year.
So here's this is my train of thought on that now. With the UFC, I've noticed a distinct lack in stacked, I guess, of their cards.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They have been becoming more like boxing cards, where it's headlined by a really great fighter, and the undercard is not as great. Now they're not quite as bad as boxing, but do you think, let's say they stack UFC 249, so you already got Khabib on there fighting Tony Ferguson, but what if they add Forgadero Joe B, which is too short notice, but you get what I'm saying. They add Walt Harrison Overeem, and they add Rosenstruik and Francis Ngannou. And that card is absolutely, oh, gosh.
I mean, we already got Andrade Namajunas. I mean, that card's good as is.
Yeah, it's a great card as is.
How about one of the least expected, but now highly anticipated light heavyweight rematch? We're going to see Ankalaev and Kutalaba again.
That is true. That is very true.
I will say this. While obviously it's fun to hypothetically think about, if all those fights were happening on April 18th, oh my God, that's going to be amazing. Not going to happen that way. But come like June, July, it very well could begin to
Fight
happen.
week is going to be amazing.
Fight.
International Fight Week is going to be stacked. So, do you think the UFC will quote unquote see the light with this and be like, "Oh, we stack cards, we make more money," or are they going to go back to the ways of boxing? Hey, this is a headliner, and we're getting to two cards. I'm telling you, I believe the UFC is going to 2 cards a week within the next 10 years. I think that's their thing because they get paid per card with ESPN. They're signing more and more fighters. They're not cutting as many fighters as they're signing, so their roster's getting more and more bloated. So the cards either have to get bigger or they have to have more cards. Will the UFC see the light, or they're going to go to the how you call boxing model of a big headliner, local cards?
Well, for this immediate future, I think that they kind of have to see the light here. I mean, because all these fights have to go somewhere, right? I mean, you're not just going to be like, oh, well, you missed it, right? I mean, they can still be made. The fighters are still needing to fight, should be paid for the canceled events. We'll throw that out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's like they kind of have to, right? Or otherwise they're going to have to, you're going to have a lot of unhappy people wanting to be cut, like John Lineker situations. I mean, I feel like it's back against the wall, no matter, they don't have a choice really, but I don't know. That's just how I think it'll go.
But Drake, whenever these cancellations came down, whether it's right or wrong, moral compass pointing in whatever direction, did you really think that the fighters were going to get? Absolutely not.
No, of course not.
Yeah. All right, so let me chime in a little bit here. I wrote about this on my MMA News. Shout out, Eric. What up? I know Drake's there. Davidson, are you with my MMA?
My MMA News?
Yeah.
I was for a while.
Wow.
I wrote a few
Wow. He's disappointed. So look, enough with the jokes on that. But for real, I wrote about it. Yeah, it'd be nice if the UFC could pay their fighters for canceling events. But the issue is I think they're in a rock and a hard place. And I have no insider knowledge of this, but I'm just going by what I know. The Endeavor bought the UFC for $4 billion, which is less now. Let's say $3 billion. They got a big loan payment to pay every month. They have to put on fights. And they don't have as much cash fluidity as they did with Zuffa, for the Fertitta brothers. So I feel like it's not Dana White that's doing this, honestly. I feel like Dana White would pay his fighters. That's one thing he's generally good about is paying people, but I don't think that he physically can right now. If they don't have fights, they don't have any product to sell to make it back. Even UFC Brasilia probably operated at a loss. There was no ticket sales at the gate, which is where they make most of their money, especially on those ESPN Plus cards. So while I understand that the fighters do need to get paid, I think they made a bad business choice buying this and not having cash on the side ready for like a doomsday fund.
If I could take this opportunity though to actually provide the first ever disagreement history on this podcast, I don't know if I agree with the whole Dana goes out of his way to make sure his fight. Does he really though?
His rich fighters, yeah, his ones that make him money.
Okay, I will give you that. But like, let's just say, let's say for example, you have, just bottom of the top 15 female flyweights, female strawweights.
That's fantastic. Not even a real division.
I know, strawweight. Don't drag.
Dare you? Dare you?
Strawweight's as legit as it gets.
The thought process before you said strawweight, you said flyweight first. So let me have that one.
Give you that one as well. However, at the end of the day, I think we've been given plenty of examples, maybe of both ways. It's kind of just cut and dry what the situation holds. And if you're going to pay fighters to come in and cut weight and not fight at all just to be backup plans for main events that might fall through, that's another kind of chasm as well. But I think it's fit. I'm like on the fence when it comes to, the statement being made, Dana White always makes sure his fighters are sometimes.
I'll say this. I don't think he's going to let them get evicted from their house.
I do think, though, he'll try to get them rebooked. That's what they do, though. If they're like, oh, you can't fight, sorry, we can't pay you, but we can put you on this card, I think they do a good job of that.
Yes. Drake?
Oh yeah, I agree. I don't have much to add to that.
Last question on this topic here. So we talked about MMA Twitter being the wimpiest people on the internet. Do you think MMA Twitter is stronger or weaker than the average Joe?
I think NFL Twitter's pretty wimpy right now. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes.
Oh my God, the Rams logo! I'm so upset.
It is a terrible logo.
I mean, but it's like, hey, dude, football's being played. Who cares about the colors and letters they're wearing? Did Goff throw 4 touchdowns? Okay. Like,
yeah, but they did it with the logos, and we'll have to look at that on highlights for years to come.
Yeah, and maybe some of the players don't like that too. However, if at the end of the season they're hoisting the Lombardi Trophy, 0 people care.
Very true.
All I'm saying is right now, MMA Twitter though, the one thing that's great about MMA Twitter, even if it is the fans or the media, it is like a bonding type of thing. It's weird. Like it's a very accepting culture. How that comes about from people getting punched in the face and having their limbs broken off, don't really know. But at the end of the day, MMA Twitter is very distinct. It's way different from all the other sports Twitters.
Agreed, 100%.
I want to say, Davidson, I could see you channeling your Crystalia there. Remember the Lombardi?
All right, so let's go ahead and dive into our next topic, the Olympics. We're going to save Jon Jones for last. That's going to be fun. We got to make all of our viewers sit through this Olympic talk because not everybody likes the Olympics, and those who aren't are communist, and I don't like it. So, yes. The 2020 Tokyo Olympics have been postponed because of the coronavirus. It's our worst enemy right now. It is canceling all of our events, including the 2020 Olympics. Get this, IOC member Dick Pound, that's his real name. Dick Pound is his real name. Funny story, I wrote up the postponement for Eric on my MMA News. And every time, sometimes you'll write up a story and you refer to him by his last name. Not this guy. No, he's Dick Pound all the way through. Go read it. There's not an instance of just Pound. So, anyways, he's Canadian, and shortly after Canada says we are not participating in the Olympics, the IOC, the Olympic Organizing Committee, I think that's the acronym. Anyways, they say they're going to postpone it till 2021. Obviously, I'm going to go out on a limb and say you guys believe that's a good call, but I'm going to go ahead and open the floor. Davidson, what do you think?
I mean, you don't really have to go into much detail to agree that it's a good call because, I think kind of like you can look at this situation and compare it to the NBA a couple weeks ago, shuts down. 2 days later, the NCAA shuts down the NCAA tournament. Billions of dollars of revenue. Very upset. CBS, TBS, Turner Sports, not happy about it. However, while $2.7 billion are going to be lost in Japan, At least from a report that came out in an independent Japanese newspaper, they're expecting $2.7 billion to be lost as a result of this. Still the right decision. And, part of this whole coronavirus thing, one of the things that has, angered or upset people was one of those congressmen's comments where he said that old people's lives are not as valuable as getting the economic situation back in place. I don't know if you guys saw that guy said that, but A, not true at all, obviously, and B, these sports organizations all over the world are clearly showing that that's not true because they are valuing human life over, $2.7 billion. $2.7 billion.
Right. Have you ever noticed that when Davidson's talking, he looks like dropping the hottest verse of the year?
Oh, of course.
The best thing ever.
I already wrote Illmatic. I'm retired.
Drake, give me your thoughts, bud.
Yeah, obviously the Olympics of all things, I think is probably the one that you should definitely shut down, considering it's people from literally all over the world meeting in one place. That's like the worst type of melting pot you could get in this kind of situation. So yeah, obviously a really good idea. It took them a while to kind of, put the foot down here, kind of thanks to Canada, kind of saying, all right, guys, let's not do this. So good on them for kind of making the final push on that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have too much to add about it. I mean, obviously, it's kind of common sense, right? These things should all be common sense, no matter how much Dana White wants to still make his money and everything, and the WWE as well, going ahead and all that stuff. So,
Have you seen them high-fiving people that are not in the stands?
no, I have not seen
Wrong.
that.
Going through good high fives to people. Here's clip, look it up. Just like Michael Bisping saying, it makes some noise to an empty stadium at Brasilia. Oh man, it's so funny.
Oh yeah, make some noise.
Make some noise. The trainers,
Exactly.
the winning trainers,
Or one of the doctors.
So woo. So my thoughts on the internet. Oh my gosh, my thoughts on the Olympics. I almost said internet again. I like the postponement for one reason and one reason only. Actually two reasons. It saves human lives. That's one reason. But I also like the fact that if they were to say this year, hey, we're going to go ahead with the Olympics, say the coronavirus scientists discover, oh wait, this is waning, it's going to be gone by next month, so it needs to be quarantined. It still gives the athletes very little time to keep preparing and qualify for the Olympics. So it gives everybody a real fair shake at actually competing in the Olympics. So I like that. I'm curious to see if they keep it every 4 years after next year, or if they keep it on the 4-year track that they got now. But that's neither here nor there. That's not a big deal. Last question, or I think we should end the podcast now. I don't know. Let's talk about Jon Jones. So I think Loudmouth's been around for a while, and I'm pretty sure that there's been an episode where y'all talk about Jon Jones messing up, because he does it quite often. It's like 3 things are certain in life: death, taxes, and Jon Jones getting arrested. Yeah. We could copy and paste that here, and the arguments would still hold up. Jon Jones today got arrested or this morning, got arrested at 1 a.m. for a DWI, negligent use of a firearm, proof of insurances wasn't there, and there was one more thing that wasn't that big of a deal. It's just, oh yeah, he had
liquor.
Yes, he had Masvidal's liquor in the car with him. Like, bro, this is a commercial.
Yeah.
Masvidal's paying Bones. He's bailing Bones out because this is a commercial. Like, Jones has never had guns. Jones, this is what Masvidal's liquor does to you. It's crazy. But regardless of that, Jon Jones is in trouble again. It's just repeated pattern. Drake, what's gonna happen now? I'm gonna say nothing. I want to be the first to be on the record and say nothing. Nothing's gonna happen to Jon. What do you think?
It's hard to tell, I think, and it's funny because when I saw this, I think I saw it in our Loudmouth chat on Facebook. When I saw it first, and I was like, "Wait a minute! Is this fake?" I wasn't surprised, but I was like, there's no news going on. This is like just something silly, right? Somebody's trolling." I was like, "Oh no, it's real." Not surprised, but okay, people are gonna be like, "Oh no way!" But I mean, we've gotten used to this now, unfortunately. Man, I don't know, man. I mean, it's been a while since the last time, right? To be honest, he's been okay, picogram stuff and all that in between the actual legal troubles. But dude, you got to do something. He's obviously not fucking learning, right? I mean, having so many offenses, I don't know. I don't remember like what he ended up like with the final verdicts were on his stuff for, hitting the pregnant lady and all that other stuff. And he's had DUIs before and things. He crashes Bentley. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's like, at what point do you do something, right? Are we gonna, because this isn't going to be the end, most likely, whether it's, a year from now or 10 years from now, something else is going to happen. This guy is a pathological liar, or, how do you trust anything he says anymore? I mean, we've seen it time and time again that it's just history repeats itself. Time is a flat circle. I saw somebody tweet that out. It's like, yes, it's a true detective quote there. So always going to put that out. So yeah, man, I don't know. I think that if I was in the position, it's hard because you'd have to think about actually being in the position. But from where I am right now, I'm like, okay, you got to do something. Stripping him seems that still feels extreme to me at this exact moment. But I mean, he has to go to like rehab. He's got to do some kind of thing outside of the cage. Take some time off. Maybe do an interim title because he has to go away for a bit. Just figure your shit out, dude. Like, obviously, we haven't really been seeing the same level of bad that he's done in the past, but we haven't been seeing it. Who knows what he's actually been doing, or hearing about. So there's probably more to this story for sure. So It's just like something's got to be done on the outside. Whether in the UFC, I mean, they don't reinforce their policies anyways, right? We've seen Mike Perry get away with saying the N-word, and when they've in the past, reinforced like Nate Diaz saying like retard and Miguel Torres with his rape van joke. I mean, there's plenty of things where they used to do it, but now they've kind of just stopped. So I don't think the UFC is going to really do anything, but something outside has to be done, and maybe they can push for that.
We'll stop Davidson before he drops hot verse. Two things. One, Mike Perry posted a video of himself knocking a civilian out on his own Instagram today, which is hilarious. That's Mike Perry.
I haven't seen that yet.
That is on brand. I want to go through real quick a list of controversies, so I'll get to you in about 5 minutes, Davidson. Give me a second. I'm gonna go through Jon Jones' controversies on Wikipedia. So it all started when Matt Hamill gave him brain damage from illegal elbows in 2000. That's the first thing. It's like that's where it started, right? So May 2012, he got a DUI for crashing his Bentley into a pole. He declined to fight Chael Sonnen at UFC 151. Blah blah.
Do you guys remember how insane the backlash was for that?
Yeah,
that was crazy.
Greg
that
Jackson
was so crazy.
Killer,
I was
dude.
scared of Chael.
Greg Jackson trained how many UFC champions and how many killing the sport though, because one card's canceled.
Yes. Eye pokes, obviously.
Yeah.
He did a lot of eye pokes. He wrote homophobic slurs to a Swedish man over Instagram.
Oh, why? I remember that. That's
in 2014. UFC 182 and 15, he tested positive for coke and benzos.
Dude, that
Partying.
that makes no sense. Like, you know how when you used to learn in school, like a good way, an effective way to help figure out math easier, you'd cancel things out?
That's what it is.
You took both of those things. You're sober almost, I feel. Canceling each other out immediately. I don't know.
Okay. 2014, him and Daniel Cormier got into a scuffle on stage. We remember that. Then 2015, the hit and run of a pregnant woman. And he ran from police. Failed. 2016.
We used too.
He admitted in an interview it happened. I think that was on Joe Rogan. UFC 182, he failed against Daniel Cormier for testosterone and the other thing that I don't know how to say it. 2016, clomiphene. Let's see. 2016 in November, he had a 1-year suspension. 2017, picograms of turinabol. Last year, 2018, the picograms again. And then early this year in July, a battery incident. So, no, it hasn't been that a long time since he has gotten in trouble. He had battery charge in July.
I forgot about that. I even completely forgot about that.
Yeah. Because it went away. He paid him off. No contest. Hey, here's some money. Go away.
No contest.
No contest. Gone. Out of here. And then today, aggravated DWI. What is the difference between a DWI and an aggravated DWI? Like, is it just mad?
Well, didn't they... I'm not... Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't the police pull up to John in his car while the car was in park?
Yes, but he was in it. That's a DWI.
Yeah, but I think that's where the word aggravated comes in. Like, that the car isn't actually in motion when the police arrive to the scene. But, like, you're there, you said you've been driving, you're clearly hammered. So, like, you have been driving while under the influence, even though you weren't caught in the act or pulled over or anything. I think that's what the word aggravated means. Could be wrong, but I think that's what it means.
So, anyways, Davidson, after that 5-minute segue of Jon Jones's laundry list, go on in. Let me hear what you got.
immediately when I first saw it, questions began to pop in my head right away. The first question was, is he going to get stripped? My thought is probably not. And I think that I'm obviously not a wizard. I can't see the future, but I have a pretty decent idea of how I think it's going to play out. I don't think the UFC is going to touch him. I would be very worried about the situation in court, though. And the clip that circulated today that started with Brett Okamoto tweeted it out of he's getting ready to walk out. They're getting done with whatever he's got going on. He and his lawyer are getting ready to walk out of the courtroom. He's still in the orange jumpsuit, and he turns around, and the judge says, "Hey, hold before you leave, don't come back here. It's not going to be good if you're back. It's not going to be good if you come back." So I think if I'm Jon and his team, those words are giving me nightmares for the next however many weeks, because and there's just so many moving parts. Like, it could depend on what judge is in the chair that day. It could literally depend on if his lawyer plays golf with any of the judges. Like, I'm getting kind of off topic, but here's the two questions that I have about it. Number one is I really believe they're going to punish him to the point where he probably does some time. If he does some time, the gun thing and having now being a repeat offender where you tested twice over the legal limit both times, I don't know, unless somehow, some way, some sort of money comes in. I do not know how you escape jail in that situation. Whether it's 30 days, whether it's, I don't know. So that's my biggest question. How severe are they going to punish him in court? My next question is, Drake touched on it, is an interim title going to come into effect? If it does, I think we already know who's going to be fighting for it. That's probably Dominic Reyes and Jan Blachowicz. And then the division is just kind of in a holding pattern, unfortunately. It's very unfortunate, too, for 205 pounds that was just getting ready to get back onto the scene. I feel maybe not just now, but like 6 months, 12 months down the line, that top 15 is going to look completely different. There's a lot of up-and-coming killers in this division. But when Jon does come back, what is going to be the mood when he walks into a scrum or walks into it? Obviously, no one's going to hold back anymore. Nobody's going to hold unless they're scared of the UFC PR. I see Drake making a face. I invite Drake to tell me why you're making a face.
Before Drake makes his face comments, I looked up the DUI offenses in Arizona. A second offense is 90 days or home detention in jail, a $3,500 fine with an $80 monitoring fee. Screening and counseling will be required. 1 year revocation of his license, a 12-month ankle bracelet, and 30 hours of community service. So not that stiff, and 90 days is not really, that's a training camp. So just push it back a month.
I will say this, though. Why I'm pretty certain that he's going to see some time behind bars is not only are you now repeating as an offender, where you tested twice the legal limit both times, you now also have a situation where no insurance. You now also have a situation where firearm in the car, believed to have been discharged, and on top of driving drunk, it's not like he got drunk and drove. There was a bottle of Jorge Masvidal rocket fuel clearly open, so he was clearly drinking while driving. So if you want to look at it and be like, oh, he didn't learn his lesson. Want to go, hey, he didn't learn his lesson times 100? Get a bottle of Jorge Masvidal liquor and drink it while you drive. I don't know. It's not looking good. It's not.
Drake, go in. What you got?
Tell me your face comment, Drake.
Okay. I'll do the face comment after this, because I want to touch on the your comments about the legal issues and all that and how bad it could be. And I think that you make great points. And on top of that, I think if anything is going to push the UFC to actually do something, it'll be depending on the severity of whatever comes his way, and especially now when nothing's going on. There's nothing going on in the sports world besides this. Literally the worst fucking time, Jon. You couldn't have picked any other time to do this. Get your shit together, man. I mean, man, it's just like everything's on this, right? This is the biggest news story of the day, right? Unless I missed something besides what the Olympics, or I mean, there's not that many stories.
Yesterday, to be fair.
Yeah, so not a lot that people are hearing about this. And
story in sports, I'd say I'd agree with that.
Yeah. So I mean, come on. If anything, they're gonna have eyeballs on them that they do not want. I mean, of course, exposure is a good exposure and all that. Yeah. But I mean, depending on what happens. Anyways, as for the face comment, he said media is gonna, not care anymore. The fans and all that. Are you kidding me, dude? They don't care. We've seen they still cheered him after he came back after all that nonsense, dude. They were booing DC. Okay, this is the negative side of the community, right? The people who are just animalistic freaks, trolls, who don't care.
I smash your boy.
Smash your boy.
Smash your boy.
I mean, so
more so saying that about the media though than fans, because it's just like, at some point, part of the reason why we touched on earlier why the MMA, I think there's two big reasons as to why I like being a part of the MMA community so much. One, if you want to be a part of it, it can open its doors to you quickly. And if you are good at what you do and or help the people around you, they can wrap their arms around you right away. I thought that was very awesome about it. The number two thing that's about it, though, the number two thing about the point I'm trying to make with the MMA media is the MMA media is not like the MMA fan spectrum of things, where once things begin to get old and once we begin to get tired, you can kind of pencil that back to the reporter that Dana was trashing. He obviously went and said all of those things because, and let's be honest, without me even saying his name, we're all familiar with who this is. He's been kind of a grumpy person for a while now. And or at least from my vantage point, he's argued with several people in this podcast network for no reason on Twitter. It's just like people.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah, we could talk about it off the air. He and I even shared a couple of tweets. But at the end of the day, when do we see Jon Jones walk in a media room and first he said, "First of all, I'd like to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ." Do you really?
I saw on Reddit. Somebody said, God's testing him again. How many times is he going to do this? And then somebody replied and said, until he actually passes. It's just like, oh my God.
The seriousness of this, though, man, I think it's obviously become very evident that he's got a problem with drinking, and that if if the courts or the UFC or the people around him aren't going to help him, he's got to at least at some point look himself in the mirror and ask him if he wants to help himself. Of all seriousness, because it's very clear and obvious that responsible drinking has not been happening at all for who knows how long, to the point
where you don't carry your firearm around when you drink, bro? Come on.
Oh, dude, no. No, I don't
I'm going to do down here in South Louisiana. I just got the greatest idea. Jon Jones needs to go and train with Wonder Boy.
That's the nicest guy.
Part Wonder Boy's charm can rub off on him.
What if it's the opposite way? The Wonder Boy goes on this coke binge and murders someone. And he has to catch up to Jon, so he just
that would be the saddest.
Colludes with Weidman in the process, and
it's Sage Northcutt because he's trying to steal his MO. You're not even that good. Bow.
No, there's a new fighter in the UFC too that's in that that's in that realm. He just won by finish last week, and I've watched his regional fights. Why can I not remember his name? First fight on the card red hair. First thing he says, Spike.
Carlisle.
Yeah, he's in that group too. He's in the Wonder Boy Sage North. He's in that realm as well.
They should just open up their own camp.
They should hang out with Mike Perry. Or Ashley Evans Smith. She's the plenty.
Is that the other news story that you were thinking of, Blaine?
That's a very weird story.
Was that Ashley Evans Smith?
Mm-hmm.
I saw something about it. I don't know exactly what happened, but apparently she was stealing medical supplies from a hospital.
It's definitely a very odd one.
Doing it?
Yeah. Her and her boyfriend. I don't know if Davidson. Did you watch her interview with Ariel?
No, I haven't seen it, but I read her whole Facebook post, and I read a lot of quotes from the interview. No, I assume you did though.
Yeah, I saw. I mean, the part where she was kind of talking about it, and I don't know, man. It feels like it doesn't quite add up or make a lot of sense with.
Oh, of course it doesn't add up.
With the footage that we've seen. Because she talked about how, if there's people leave their stuff outside and on the driveway, and you just think it's out there for free, they're getting rid of it or whatever, so you can just take it. And like, okay, well, first of all, wasn't by the driveway. That was right in front of like their door. Second of all, you took like the whole box. Just like I don't know, the justifications that she was trying to make from what we've actually seen, just like didn't really.
Was it the tattoo shop thing?
I don't know about that. I didn't hear that part.
She said the only I did see the fact that like part of what brought her to the hospital in the first place, which also adds on to your point, not adding up at all. She was there and or involved with this hospital, from what I read a little bit of today, by way of giving them masks from her job. So how this went from I'm giving to you to, oh, now I'm stealing from you. Yes, doesn't add up. It doesn't.
Yeah. And I mean, I can't tell in the video, or I mean, if her boyfriend is still Julian Wallace, but if it is, then fuck that guy, and obviously they stole it. So, I mean, right?
Julian Wallace is War Machine, right?
No. He's
War Machine's locked up for life.
Yeah,
I was about to say, War Machine ain't good enough.
They let him out.
Oh no, Julian Wallace is the dude that got knocked out by Ben Wynn. Yeah. Seeing that guy get knocked out's a good time.
I know. But they I don't know if they're still together. I can't tell from the video. But if that's still her boyfriend, then fucking they obviously did it. Because like that guy's a piece of shit. There's no denying.
Okay.
Well, guys, been a good first episode, I think. Lots of laughs, lots of shenanigans.
Wait till fights start happening.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Then we'll have something to actually talk about.
I
know. This has been the first episode of Open Mat. I had to think about the name for a second. This is all new. I'm used to doing other stuff. Anyways, Davidson, where can everybody find you? Because you're on the left, and I read left to right.
Reading left to right. Going left to right. Going to Twitter, you type in from left to right, at Dave Bake MMA. Pretty simple. Just shortened, abbreviated way. I've deleted my Instagram pretty much. Don't use it at all. So, I mean, you can really find me on social media at Dave Bake MMA. And coming soon, a revamped YouTube channel, hopefully by the summer.
Drake, where can they find you?
Yep, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram, mainly Twitter, at DrakeRiggs _ DrakeRiggs on YouTube. Then you can find all my work on My MMA News, RT Sport, The Scrap, Fansided, The Body Lock, and obviously LoudMouth MMA Network podcast here, where we've got Open Mat. So all these places, but I mean, everything is mostly on my Twitter. I just repost all that. So at DrakeRiggs _ best way.
And you can find me at Twitter, Blaine Henry TFL. And you can also check my website, fight-library.com, and also mymmanews.com, where I post a bunch of random newsy news stuff, boxing, sumo, whatever. I love it all. Guys, it's been a great episode. Till next week, I'm out. Peace.